He wasn't looking for it. That's the thing he kept returning to in the days after. He wasn't searching her profile, wasn't checking, wasn't the kind of man who monitored. He was just lying in bed on a Wednesday evening with the lamp still on, phone tilted toward the ceiling, moving through the ordinary drift of a day winding down. And then her post appeared, the way all posts appear, without signal, without permission, slipped between an ad and someone's birthday. A photograph. A face he recognized from old pictures she'd shown him once, casually, the way people show you things from before. Her ex, smiling at something outside the frame, and underneath it, in her handwriting, the caption she typed and reviewed and decided to publish, "Some relationships never end." He read it twice. Then a third time more slowly, as if the first two had been too fast for accuracy. Then he opened the comments and typed one word. Maybe. He posted it before he could think about whether to. He put the phone face down on the blanket and looked at the ceiling for a long time, and the lamp stayed on, and the apartment made its small, ordinary sounds around a man who had just understood something he hadn't been told directly. He had picked up the ring on a Saturday 3 weeks earlier. Simple. White gold. 1 stone. Nothing that tried too hard. Which was how he made most of his good decisions, by resisting the urge to try too hard. He had a reservation at the restaurant where they'd had their first real dinner, the one that had lasted 4 hours without either of them noticing. Christmas week, her favorite season. She talked about Christmas the way some people talk about a place they're from, with a specific warmth that was also a kind of homesickness, even in the middle of it. He had imagined the moment so many times it had started to feel like memory rather than plan, the table, the light, her face in the second before she understood what was happening. He lay in the dark that Wednesday night and felt that imagined memory come apart, not violently, just quietly, the way fog clears. Not all at once, but until suddenly you can see that it's gone. The next morning he called the restaurant. He was polite. He said something had come up, that he was sorry for the inconvenience, that he hoped they could fill the table. The woman on the phone said, of course, not to worry. He called Marcus first, then Dev. They were the only two who had known. Marcus asked if he was okay. He said he was fine, which wasn't a lie exactly. He was functional. He was upright. He was going to go to work and eat lunch and answer emails. Dev didn't ask questions, which was its own kind of kindness. The ring he returned that afternoon. The jeweler was a quiet man who had seen this before and handled it with the dignity of someone who understood that the absence of a celebration was its own kind of event. The transaction took 12 minutes. He drove home and sat in the parked car outside his building for a while, engine off, watching people walk past on the sidewalk with their ordinary destinations. Then he went inside and made dinner, and she texted him a meme at 7:30 that she thought he'd find funny. He replied with a laughing face, because he was, somehow, also a person who could do that. 2 days of ordinary life that were not ordinary. She texted the things she always texted. He responded with the textures of a relationship proceeding normally. He watched her, through the narrow window of daily messages, the way you watch something you're not sure you're seeing correctly, trying to determine whether the post had been grief for something finished or evidence of something ongoing. Whether some relationships never end was the kind of thing a person posts because they feel it abstractly or because they feel it specifically. He didn't ask. He waited to see what she would do with his one-word comment, which was still there, sitting beneath her caption like a question she hadn't answered. She brought it up on Friday evening, not directly. She brought up his name, the ex, in a way that made clear she had been circling toward this since Wednesday. She said the post was just a feeling, an old feeling. She said she hoped he hadn't read too much into it. He said he understood. She said, "Did you though?" And he looked at her. They were on the phone, but he looked at the middle distance the way you do when a question is actually about something larger than its words. And he said, "I'm trying to." It wasn't a fight. It was something harder than a fight. Two people suddenly aware that they were holding slightly different maps of the same relationship, and neither map was wrong exactly, but they didn't quite match. She said she loved him. He said he knew. He did know. That wasn't the question. The ring was gone. The reservation was canceled. The The Christmas he had built inside his own imagination had been quietly, privately disassembled by his own hands, without witness, without explanation. She didn't know any of that. He hadn't decided yet whether to tell her. He hadn't decided much of anything. He was a man standing at the edge of a future he'd already half let go, looking back at it, looking forward, trying to locate the difference between loving someone and being certain, and finding, in that space between the two, something he didn't yet have a name for. The lamp was on again. He left it on and didn't sleep.